All right, so people often ask us, what's this foiling actually? And I'm not an engineer, so I always explain it in the simple way. It's basically an airplane wing, but underwater. Instead of a hull pushing through the water, the wing, or in this case a foil, creates a pressure difference, higher pressure below and lower pressure above. And that lifts the whole boat out of the water. In other words, you're flying the hull above the water. And a fun fact which people often forget is that boats were actually flying like this before the first airplane ever took off. The big thing is efficiency. A traditional boat drags a lot of surface through the water, and that creates friction and slows everything down. A hydrofoil only has these narrow and thin wings in the water, so you've got way less drag, and that reduced drag easily then converts into speed with a fraction of the energy compared to traditional boats. That's why the boat can cruise around 20 knots on a surprisingly small electric motor and still keep going for hours. But honestly, for me, the coolest part for me was getting used to the speed. I come from keel boats and slower power boats, so the first time I was actually flying above the water, my brain needed a moment to recalibrate. For me, foiling doesn't just look futuristic, it's clever engineering, packaged really cleanly, and I tend to forget all the complexities that go into designing these machines on water.
Most people think hydrofoils are a new thing, but the truth is that the first boat foiled more than 120 years ago, and our foil configuration goes back to the 1950s. A Japanese designer named Kotaro Horiuchi was one of the true pioneers. He built some of the first foiling boats after knowing Boeing was developing some. Early on, he made a prototype with 3 struts, but the design that really inspired us came after that. A boat with 2 foils in line along the center, or what he called the single-track hydrofoil. The front foil was used for lift, steering and lateral stability, and the rear foil was used for lift and propulsion. The same basic layout we use today. His concept never became mainstream, maybe partly because jet skis appeared in the market, or maybe because he was ahead of his time. But the idea was brilliant, despite the fact that only a few guys managed to control it. His legacy to us and common denominator was basically the foil configuration. Everything else had to be redesigned. We still had to validate that we could effectively control a foiling boat like a bike. We changed everything else and placed those changes on a vintage monocoque inspired by the Formula One cars of the 1950s to 1970s era, but built it as a modern carbon fiber car. We made the boat safer with an open cockpit, changed the steering mechanism, made the foils retractable for easy transportation and launching in shallow waters, made the boat really intuitive so anyone could foil, not just a few, but also responsive and thrilling to ride. We made it electric, quiet, with no emissions, so when you drive on our boat, you're not only experiencing something new, you are experiencing the evolution of a dream someone imagined more than 70 years ago. When we started developing the boat, we had a simple goal: make foiling something anyone can learn in minutes. Traditional boats have the rudder aft, and that works well when you are dragging a boat through water, but when you are flying on foils, the dynamics change completely. That configuration makes the boat naturally unstable, and a computer and other devices would be needed to control it. The steering and balancing needs to be intuitive, fast, and responsive. There are lots of foil configurations out there, such as like surface piercing foils with canards, tandem foils, or fully submerged foils with multiple aft struts, twisting, horizontal foils, double struts, you name it, they're there. In the end, our preferred choice was 2 inline struts and front steering. Why? Because once you're up on the foils, the boat behaves exactly like a bicycle. To be more precise, the physics of how we achieve lateral balance are exactly the same as in how a bike stays upright. Driving in a straight line is as simple as keeping the front foil underneath you. Whenever you feel like the boat is falling, You just need to steer the front foil underneath you to stop you from falling. Turns are initiated with a small counter steer, then banking into the turn and turning in the desired direction with small corrections to keep the bank. Once you realize the balance dynamics are the same as in a bike, it feels surprisingly familiar. Even without having any experience in foiling, you really know how to do it, as long as you know how to ride a bike, of course. It is a super rewarding feeling as you get improving and you become better at it. You build skill over time, you start reading the water, banking harder, carving in turns, playing with how the boat behaves. It's a machine for people who love a real hands-on control, and it comes from the front steering, really. You're truly connected to the machine, and the feeling is so unique, you get hooked immediately.
Most boats take time to figure out. You sit down and you're surrounded by switches, trims, tabs, gauges, and it feels like the boat wants you to pass an exam just to leave the dock. I still remember during my military training as a boat captain, the equipment felt overwhelming as everything had a button and every button had a backup button. So when we built this boat, we really wanted it to feel the opposite of that. The controls are things you already know. The throttle, it's a foot pedal, like in a car. The steering, just two handlebars, like on a bike. And the dashboard, there's just one button and it turns on the boat, and that's it. We wanted to remove as much cognitive load as possible and let the ride be the experience itself. When you sit down for the first time, you're not thinking about what you need to do. You're probably already doing the right thing. You enjoy the surroundings, you enjoy the handling, and you don't get distracted by the boat trying to manage itself. We find it simple, even elegant, and honestly quite refreshing having it this way. You just get in and fly.
When we posted our early test videos, a lot of people pointing out the same thing. The boat looks a bit nervous, and honestly, they weren't wrong. If we look at the early videos of the boat, even in smaller waves, we're being thrown around. What we had at that time was a version 1 of the wand mechanism, which controls the flap. Almost a direct one-to-one system. The front foil was super reactive. It was fun, but sometimes a little bit too bumpy with chop. We realized comfort leads to higher performance, so we integrated a gearing system in the front foil that allows us to change how reactive the flap is. Think of it like adding suspension to your bike. The ride feels smoother and more stable, giving you more control. It was also important to give the pilot full access to it, so we placed it at the top of the front foil, where it can be tuned. If you want the boat to be sharp and responsive, you set the pin back, making the flap move more. If you want it smoother, you set it forward, reducing the flap movement. The system adapts not only to the environment or the sea state, but also to the pilot's preferences. It's a small mechanism, but it completely changed how the boat feels to fly, and our goal is always to build as good a product as possible. That's why we listened and we observed and we iterate. We aim to give the customer the greatest feeling with a high quality and reliable product.
This summer, we're doing something we've wanted to do for a long time. Over the past year, many people have asked us, where can I try the boat? Eventually we realized we need to create a proper place or platform for that. So we're setting up a Foilone experience on one of the major lakes in Europe. The idea is really simple. You come and spend a couple of hours with us, learn the basics, and you get your first real foiling experience. We go through everything together with our coach and you, how the boat works, how to handle it in displacement mode, half foiling, fully foiling, and finally also turning. Most people pick it up surprisingly fast. And yes, if you can ride a bike, you have a really good head start. And if you can't ride a bike, don't worry, we believe in miracles. Once that clicks, you get time to free ride, explore the lake a bit. It's hands-on, sporty, and genuinely thrilling. Whether you're someone who just loves new experiences or a potential buyer, we'll be sharing all of the details soon. But we're really excited to announce what's coming and hoping to see lots of new people getting to experience the thrill of foiling and earning their wings. If you ever wanted to learn foiling, this summer will be your chance.